Hey guys, Long Haul Larry, and we're up here in the Uber house. Still doing this recovery thing. We got these floors done. It's actually Tuesday. We did these floors on Saturday, so they've been Sunday, Monday, and they are drying. Everything is getting all dry and everything. There's still a little bit over here. There's still moisture coming up through this part over here. This was poured really wet, and so it would flow out and everything. So there's still moisture in this part of it. This stuff here was poured real thick, and it's real nice and dry and stuff. The cracks are drying out. The stuff that I put over to all the cracks and everything, built that all up, and it seems to be working good. No cracking happening or nothing. I saw somebody in the comments. They said something about like when the moisture comes out, it's going to crack wherever the cracks was. This is not supposed to. This is very high PSI grout, and it is not supposed to crack at all. We'll see what happens. Tracy did end up getting the paint. I told her just to get some exterior enamel paint. And I saw somebody else in the comments saying, you can't use that. You got to use special concrete paint and everything else. The reason why I said that is because the neighbor stopped by. And the neighbor, he had done his garage floor with a paint. He had done some patching and stuff too. And he was looking at it. And he was saying that I said something about to him that I was thinking about using like epoxy, but that would make it slippery and stuff and everything. I don't want that. And he's like, yeah, that probably wouldn't be the wisest. And he goes, I put just exterior enamel paint. And he goes, I found it on a clearance. And he goes, it was like $6 a gallon. He says, I painted half the garage and then I ran out. And I went back to the paint store and they didn't have any more of that. And the paint guy was like, oh, no, you got to have this stuff. And so he bought a concrete paint. And so it'll be harder and all this stuff. So, and it was the same exact color. He painted the rest of it. And he says, you really can't tell the difference in it. And he said he's had it for 5 years. And he said both sides are wearing exactly the same. But Tracy went there and was getting the stuff I told her to get. And the guy that was working in the paint department said, what are you doing with it? And, oh, no, you got to have this. No, whatever. He says that the carbides won't even scratch it. I don't know. We'll see how that all works out. And yes, I am going to be dumping sand with it. I have a bucket of sand here yet. And I'll be dumping that in. And putting like a texture on so it has like a grit on it. So when you come out of the outdoors with the ice and snow and stuff on your boots, you walk in here, it's no slipping and sliding around. Other things, that one chip challenge. Yikers. Basically, here's what happened. I did that thing. I got off the camera. I was suffering badly. I was on the phone with Tracy and I was talking to her and saying goodnight and stuff, and I was telling her about it, and she just laughed at me and said, I'm not feeling stupid, or sorry for you, because you're the stupid one did it. I said, yeah, I know, whatever. And it was pretty rough. It was about a good hour and a half, and finally the heat started to subside a little bit. But then I sat there, and I got off the phone with Tracy, and then I walked back in the house, and I was sitting here, and my daughter looked at me, she goes, you do not look good. And I said, I know. I says, I almost thinking I may have to throw up. And I sat there for a couple minutes, and then she was looking at me, and she goes, you really don't look good. I said, yep, I'm going to throw up. I could feel it. My mouth was watering and stuff. And I jumped up, and I ran to the bathroom, and I heard her as I was going to the bathroom. Have fun with that. And I went in there, and I basically threw it up. And I tell you what, eating one of those chips is stupid. Eating two of them is just ridiculous. Well, when you throw it back up, all that spices and seasoning came right back up. And then when you get sick, when you throw up, a lot of times it gets up in your nose, it's got blood in your nose and stuff. So all the spices went in my nose. I was on fire. It all over again. It started all over again. And I mean, I was up till I think about 2 a.m. that morning. And then about 5:30 in the morning, I was laying in bed and I was kind of half asleep or something. And I don't know, I went up with my hand like this and I scratched my eye or something. I think I had a little bit of that spices under my fingernail. I just woke up like, whoa. I mean, my eye just lit on fire. And I washed my hands good too. But yeah, it lit me up. Don't do that stuff. Those things are crazy. I don't know. It's unbelievable. But Tyler, he just took a little chunk of it, and you can see in the video, he just sat there, he was like in shock just from that little piece he took. And he saw me and the reaction I started having, and he just went, I'm not doing the rest, which was good because Tyler, he can't handle heat. I don't very good, and so I think he would have been really hurting bad. But we are working on old pop. And we are working on this thing. It's a kind of a slow process. I can't work as fast as I usually do. Lifting these things around is about impossible for me. I can flip them on the tables and do grinding and all that kind of stuff. But I have to get Tracy out here, and her back is sore too, and so it's like together we kind of mess around with it and move it around and stuff. And when I ordered them, I checked the width of the ends here because I want them to go inside. I don't want them to go over a single tang on the tractor because that's going to make it weaker. So I wanted it kind of the way it was. That was really heavy duty. And so I had this plan the whole time, and I measured it, and this thing might be hot in a little bit. But what I'm doing is I got this really thick-walled piping here, and it's got 1.25 inches in there, and then what I'm doing is I'm just cutting it so that it fits inside there like though, and then I'm welding it up solid. And then what I also do is I put this in my drill press, and I'm drilling a hole out and tapping it and putting grease zerks in them, so I'll be able to grease these. And so I'm able to do that. That's what I'm working on. This is the second one, and like I said, it's a slow process. So I'll move on to the next one up here and do this one. I got to cut a pipe put in here, but I also have to put a little chunk of pipe on the outside. And I knew this was going to happen because I measured it. The bottoms are wider than the top. The tops actually should have fit. I don't know, but they're about 1/8 inch too wide. So I have to like grind them and stuff to get them to fit in there. And you can see how these are ground on the sides here and stuff. And I just have to keep sitting there grinding, and then the trace lift it up in there, and not quite fitting, and grind more off to get it so it sits up in there. So I do have one done. I'll show you that. It's right here. And I have put a coat of paint on it and everything. This is the bottom, and you can see how I welded on pieces on the outside to make the width right. And I got a grease zerk in there. I just taped it so when paint over the grease zerk and plug it up. They do have these on here. The ends are like clamped on to the shaft. I wasn't sure if that was going to be good, but I was kind of looking down in there. The shaft is actually threaded, so these actually thread on, and then that bolt clamps it tight. We're going to see how it works. If it ever pulls off, if I'm really lifting something heavy and that thing pulls or something, I'll just weld it. I'll just go down here and weld the shaft onto this clevis pin on the end. But that's the bottom. And then this is the top. And I just put a coat of paint on them and stuff. And these are the old pins. I brought new material to make new pins. But I put the old pins in here, and I thought it was the pins that were worn a little bit. But they're not. It was the rams that were worn really bad. Because these are super tight in here. So I'll probably just reuse the old pins. But that one is ready to be installed. I'm working on the other one. And what I have to do is, because these things come and the ends are 1 inch, and it came with this here pin, and this here fits in there. It's because I ground it. It's got a little burr on there, but that goes in there like so. Well, you can see the size of the other pin that I had. They were 1 1/4. They're a lot more beefier. And I would have had to get new material to make them longer, to go all the way through those and stuff. So I'm using the 1 1/4, because otherwise, then I'd have to make spacers or something to go inside there to take it from 1 1/4 to 1. So what I'm doing is I'm actually using a big reamer. And it's right here. This is actually a bridge reamer, it's called. And I've taken a chunk out of it. But this is called a bridge reamer. And it's got a big old nut on there, because the drill ain't going to turn this thing. But I've done the other one, and it's really, really super loud. And basically what I do is I just flip this and I just stick it down in there, and then I take my 1/2 inch impact, put it on there, and just ram it down through there, and it takes quite a bit. And you can see I did shatter one of the teeth on there. Hopefully it makes it through. I just got to do 2 more here, makes it through those, and then I'll be done here. But it's a long process, and I'm just working toward the end here and get this old pop running. Yeah, get ready for the noise, boys and girls. Big reamer. There's no way a drill would have done that. Well, I don't know if you guys have ever seen inside of a hydraulic cylinder, inside of a hydraulic ram, but they're pretty simple. It's just basically a tube, and then it has 2 ends on it. This here has long rods that have bolts on them that hold it. And then there is a shaft that goes up inside here, and it's connected on that end. This one has an 1.5 inch shaft that comes up. And on the end of it, it has basically a piston. It's just like a round disc, and it has like a machined edge around the end of it, or on the inside of here. It's got like a little little spot in it, and it has an O-ring that sits up in here that seals against the side in here, the side of this tube. And then you just have your ends that go on. The reason why I had to take this apart is because these 2 rams are built identical. And I have built all these up, and I put grease works all in them and everything. And I did it exactly the way I did the other one. And then I started to look at it, and I went, that ain't going to work, because the outlets for that you connect the hose onto are going to be on the outside. Going to be on where the tire is, on the side of the tire over here. These hoses, they need to be on the inside. So then I thought, okay, so I got 2 more grease works, and I just flipped the ram over, drilled some holes, and I put some grease works on the other side, and I'll just flip the ram over. And that does put my openings on the inside like I need it. And then I have to cut, because these rams are square like this, and the other rams that came off of here were round, basically just like those. And those are 3.5 inch, and these are 4. And so clearance is a little bit of an issue. And you can see how I have notched this out right here. And that's the fit where those nuts are. I need every bit of room to get it to line up. It can still go down, and that's where it needs to be. Because when you pull back the bucket, that's actually going to go in towards the deal. And so I thought I had it all good, and me and Tracy, we mounted it up on there, put the pin in, and it was hanging out, and it still wasn't in line with the bucket. It was out further than the other ram, and I was trying to figure it out what was going on. Well, by me spinning the ram over, this plug that's here, where it's an option of hooking up a hose, I'm going to use these to bleed the ram to get the air out. This was upside down, like this. And just that little bit right there where that is threaded in, just that little bit right there was actually hitting. I thought about doing a couple different things. I thought about cutting this off flush. It would still have enough room, but I need to be able to get to these to bleed these. And so what I've done is I've taken the end off of the hydraulic ram, and I'm going to flip it, just the top one. And it's going to put my hose outlet on the outside, but I think I can run the hose like this and hook it into this one, and I think there's going to be clearance down there for that. I have to operate it and check it out. But that's going to let it sit down further. And then the other one, I'll have it in the inside where it should be. If this doesn't work, I can bend this tube a little bit, this hydraulic metal tube. I can bend it down, get myself a longer tube, and bring it around the outside. But I think this is the way it's going to have to be. Because the hydraulic rams are going to be full of air. And I need to bleed them and get all the air out. And so what I'll do is just take those plugs out. And the hydraulic fluid, under pressure, will push all the hydraulic fluid in there. When it starts coming out through those holes, then I can just cap them off. And then when I fire the tractor up, I will extend them all the way out. And then I will just, I will extend them all the way out, and then I'll crack the bottom lines, and it'll hiss, and as soon as fluid starts coming out of those, then I will tighten them up, and that should bleed them the best I can get. And the rest of it, air bubbles will make its way up to the hydraulic tank. There we go, guys. Got the problem solved. We got it all mounted, and we got ourselves a gap in here. It's pretty close to a 1/4 inch. I just ground it down, and mostly it was just a weld that's on the front of here. I did not even go close through the metal. I think it'd be fine. There's all the structure there. It's not going to be. If it comes out something, and I'll just have to plate it or something and weld some extra things there if it starts to crack. But it's about the same as over there. So that's what I was looking for. So now I just got to put the fittings on. And this hose will go on here. So I just got fittings. I had to go buy all new fittings because this takes a pipe thread, which is kind of different. And my other rams, you know, they're a different thread. It's a hydraulic threading. I can't remember what it's called, but it has an O-ring thing on it. These don't. They're just pipe thread. So I had to go get a 1/2 inch pipe thread. That's NPT threading to a 1/2 inch flare. And so I found 2 of them last night at Advanced Auto. Track Supply had nothing. I couldn't figure it out. All the fittings they had, I had the female ends on them. And I'm like, that's always on the hoses. Why would you? I couldn't figure it out. And so I got 2 of them last night at Advance, and that was over in Houghton, and they said that that the place in Hancock, they had 2 in stock too. So I ran there this morning and got those 2. So I just got to mount these up, and then I'm going to bleed them. Well, guys, there we go. It's all hooked up. Everything is bled. I'm going to have to get a couple hoses. I cannot get these hoses to seal. And this hose is actually just pinching when this ram goes down. It just gets pinched in there. And it's leaking right here. I've tightened it, it just won't stop. And the other one on this side too is the same thing. It's just got a little leak right there. And so that can't be. So I'll run it. There's O'Reilly's in town. They make hydraulic hoses. So I'll take it in there, and then I'm going to bend that pipe and have the hose come out underneath. So it's not getting pinched in there at all, because if you tilt it up too much, it will actually pinch it too much. It could wear in that spot and it could blow then. But she is all done. I welded up a piece of stock here, a little stock up here where this was all broken and everything. You see somebody tried to do some booger weld in there and stuff, but I got her all done. It was actually starting to crack up through here, so I had to grind out a groove and fill that all with weld there. And so now that should be good and secure and shouldn't do it. I may end up taking my plasma cutter and drawing a straight line across the bucket and actually cutting it straight across the bucket here, because it's kind of worn on the sides. It's kind of like a circle type thing. I don't know. But she's all working and stuff. And look at this. I even put a flapper on it. The neighbor stopped over here and he was like, hey, you know, nice tractor and stuff. And I was talking to him. And he goes, run good? I said, yeah. And I fired it up. And we had gotten a pretty good rain. And I thought, you know, it's curved. It'll be all right. I fired it up and I was standing right here. And it just poured water out of this thing and just doused me with all this black sooty water and stuff. So I put the flapper on there. I've been just hanging a coffee can over it ever since, but I got a little flapper on there and we'll fire it up. Here we go. Oh, I got the engine kill on. Well, there we go, guys. Pop is all up and running. Everything's all working, everything. I just gotta get those hoses changed. I'll probably mess with that. Probably when I'll probably go into town tomorrow or something like that. But I think I've had enough for the day. I need to sit on some ice packs and stuff and chill out. But everything's all done with it. Pots, I just getting it all running. Get all the other stuff, start putting it on there, and make it a nice, useful tractor. So that's my 1975 Ford 4500 commercial loader, and fixed up and running again. So I hope you guys like this video. Have a good day as you're watching this. If you're not, I certainly get to try that all over again tomorrow. I'll catch you later. Bye.